Hello, hello, hello! Welcome to a special office hours, because I was far too tired on Monday to do an office hours then. It's been a week, chat. It's been a week. Hold on. Get my ears on. There we go. Hello. Welcome. My name is Paul, Berserker 1, Batman Shell, your humble host and space bartender here at the Astropub, your space bar at the end of the universe. Sit back, relax, enjoy the show. We got a good one for you. You know what I gotta do? I gotta put on a blur effect in the background. Do.
You can take away my spaceship. You can take away my space suit. You can even take away my space lasers.
No pew-pews.
But you can never,
ever
take away my space game.
Dry Khan just resubscribed for 52 months.
Thank you so
Hi,
much for 52 months of support there, Drycon. You're a very important part, very impressive, very pedestrian. This for others are organized. Shots, cheers, and chat. I'll shots and cheers. How you doing? All right. Okay. Let's see if I can't fix this. Ooh. That's not a good one. If I do this. I don't think it did anything. All right. Everything okay? Everything is fine. Now, so this week, a couple things. Number one, I have a student teacher is a bad term for it because it's not really a student teacher. Accelerated program for people who are actually already have careers and they're looking to become teachers. So second time I've done this where, you know, I got about 2 weeks with them, help them out, give them an idea, let them take over my classroom for a couple of days. Always a good time, but it's a lot of stress, it's a lot of work on my part to trying to make sure that like everything works for them. I'm getting all the stuff done for them that I need to get done. On top of that, I had testing. Not too bad because I'm not testing, none of my kids are testing, but I do have to proctor or help out where I can. Those sorts of things. And that happened this week, Tuesday and Wednesday. And then next week we've got testing as well.
You can take away my space suit.
So I'm just in the like panic mode right now.
Take away my space lasers.
No pew-pews.
But you can never, ever.
I said Wednesday. I'm that tired. Thursday, especially Thursday. I'm thinking it's Wednesday all day though.
Hi_Prince_of_ just resubscribed for 17 months.
Thank you so much.
Howdy.
Thanks for that 17 months of support. You're very important, Papa. Very impressive, very pedestrian. This your father's turn drinking night. Shots, cheers, y'all. Shots, cheers. Hold up, Joe Pop's coming through.
You can take away my spaceship.
Spaceship.
You can take away my space suit.
Suit.
You can even take away my space lasers. But you can never, ever take away my space game.
Joypop_ just resubscribed for 44 months.
Thanks for that 44 months of support. At tier 2 there, Joy Pop. You're a very important pupper. Very impressive. It's a very pedestrian. This is your fault. There's run drinking night. Shots and cheers and check. Shots and cheers. All right. Whew. So I talked with Cam about what I'm going to do with the background. The background is going to eventually go away. And the plan is to have like a heavy industrial background. So it'll be like rivets and metal. Probably I'll probably have to paint. Paint some parts and making like a porthole sort of thing. And then put a lot of like metal, like industrial shelving, and then put like booze and that kind of stuff.
Spaceship. You can take away my space suit. You can even take away my space lasers.
No pew-pews.
But you can never,
ever
ever
I'm glad X isn't here. It would continue to go forever. No, we'd still do a green screen. It would just be a green screen occasionally.
Jenantanak just resubscribed for 76 months. Put that helmet back on.
Thank you for that 76 months of support there, Jen. You're very important, pupper. Very impressive, very pedestrian. This is your fault. There's room drinking night. Shots and cheers and chat. Yellow shots and cheers. Now, the idea behind the green, that one would be, would it be have a pull down green screen from the ceiling, so I can have a tighter control of the lighting. So it's a little bit easier. So I could do that, and then when I don't need the green screen, I can pull it up, and then I've got the full like regular background. But yeah, I got minis. I also have like I've got a Luigi plush up there. I've got a giant pizza slice. I've got a light up spaceman. I've got a Babu Frick. I've got a Big Benny's container. I've got a I got this, which is an Astra Militarum. Nah, lore hasn't really been updated recently. They did some changes here and there, but I don't know if it's been updated really. Ugh. I've got this. It's from the Ghost, the Vinicula Insurgency. Bunch of stuff came back with that. Ugh. I've got an N7 like metal case, you know. I've got a case that looks like it's a case of plasma rounds for 40K. You know, I got lots of things that I could decorate, plus a lot of stuff that people have given me over the years. I could put my helmets on there, but also I'd put a lot of like, you know, I'd get like prop booze and put like different booze from different franchises together, like, you know, Devarin Ghosts and Radagasks, but also like what is it, Andorian whiskey and that kind of stuff. I do have a big fuzzy dice somewhere. I may have gotten rid of it. I also have my Jeb. I've got a Halo Spanker rocket container. You know, I have that too. I got lots of stuff like that. What has Bungie got for me? Oh. No longer available. Huh. Didn't know that they were doing that. Bungie was doing a play 1 hour of marathon about the game. Oh yeah, marathons extraction. So it was like they were gonna sponsor me to play marathon for a day. That's neat. All this stuff is well under my my pay grade, though. So, I do have some stuff. I'm going to be doing a video on this later. We'll do it on Monday, I think. But one of the things that I've noticed before we get into this, because it's me going into video game marketing mode, there's something that's has been brought to my attention, which is Highgard. A lot of people reached out to me when Highgard was first announced because they know my love of Titanfall. And I took one look at Highgard and was like, this is fine, but this isn't really Titanfall. This is Apex Legends, but like fantasy skinned. And I never really had a problem with Highgard, but there was a lot of things about Highgard that made me go, oh, they're fucking this up. They're fucking this up big. And I've come to realize that the people who made Titanfall just are bad at advertising. So there is a trend amongst video game developers. And I think Todd Howard said this like just openly at one point, which is they don't want to market their games. They want to build a game, they want to release the game, and then they want to be done with the game. They don't want to have to build up hype and anticipation. They don't want to have to like choose a release date. They just want to like finish the game and drop it because it's a lot of work and a lot of effort, and they just want to get it over with. They want to get it out. And there's a lot of stress with big releases. And I think Highgard can be a warning to game developers like CIG. The Wildlight, I think is what it was called. The studio that made Highgard and CIG have a lot in common, in the sense that Highgard was sort of billed as a AAA indie project. It didn't have a studio, but Tencent paid a fuck ton of money for them to make the game. So they had a situation where a lot of money was put into its development from an outside source. So they're coming in with a higher budget and a higher, it was going to be slicker and more AAA than any other project that was released and sort of independent. Hey, what's up, Deckard? Hey, Gray. Yes, that was the one, Omega. The one that everyone called Concord 2.0. It's not fair to call it Concord 2.0. It's actually, from what I can tell, a decent enough game. So you didn't, Chops, because I canceled Monday. Because I was just too tired. I was so incredibly exhausted on Monday. I passed out I canceled the stream and then I passed out. Okay, that literally. Highgard's just Fantasy Apex. Yeah, it is just Fantasy Apex. And Apex is fine. I don't think many Titanfall fans are happy with Apex because Apex is a completely different thing. Also, Marathon's the weirdest fucking feeling FPS I've ever played, in terms of Bungie weird or in terms of gameplay. Because Marathon is fucking weird. The story of Marathon, the vibes of Marathon, the atmosphere of Marathon is just absolutely fucking psychedelic. If you've never played the original Marathon, it's hindered because it's like Doom in terms of its graphics. But its story, which is told in text, is goddamn poetic. Just remember, the series ended with the AI who's been leading you through most of this situation becoming a god, sending you back in time and forward in time. Marathon Infinity is fucking insane. It's crazy. Marathon was made when Quaaludes were popular, so I'm betting that's why. They've done a lot of work to try to revamp the new Marathon. I've heard it's pretty good now, but I haven't played. We're still going to do Monday office hours. But getting back to my thing about Highgard. Highgard should be a wake-up call. And this is going to sound awful, but this is one of those things where I think needs to be said. And the reason why I'm saying it here is partially because this is my soapbox, but also because I think it affects CIG too. There is like I said, the trend where video game developers seem to want to snub marketing. They seem to want to avoid suits altogether. And I get the impulse. Suits suck. Suits are terrible because most suits have never played a video game in their life, and the only thing they really give a shit about is profit. But at the same time, like, suits are needed? Because suits know how to talk to normies. They know how to get your idea out to people who should be buying your game. It's free this weekend? Okay. I'll have to try it out. And I think there's that impulse with CIG. I think the impulse with CIG is that they don't really need to market Squadron specifically. They just need to kind of make a good game and release it, and it'll sell well. And I've heard that same argument amongst the fan community. Like, oh no, it doesn't matter if it's bad or good. It doesn't matter if it's marketed well. All that matters is if it's a good game. And like the death of Highgard because of awful marketing has proven to me that no, like most of you people most of you want good marketing, you just don't realize it, because whenever you see bad marketing, you lose your fucking mind. So yeah, you're all right. Like what I've learned about Highgard is that Highgard was not meant to be released as a big release. It was meant to be quietly released, sort of shadow dropped, to get sort of hype built around it. And then so they could get feedback and then change some of the aspects so that they could improve it as light went along. But then they decided to drop it at the fucking Game Awards. And there's been a lot of conflicting stories, because people asked, hey, why did you pay a lot of money for the Game Awards? And they said, we didn't pay for shit. Jeff just liked it and decided to put it as the last one. And there's a conspiracy theory that it was Tencent, because they invested so much money into the company, that they were the ones who paid for it so that they could get, because, Jeff Keighley has his own connections with Tencent as well, to try to get some of their money back with a big hype release. What's my next Pubathon? End of the month. Was March, so. Suggested compromise, Zoot suits. Happy medium. And so, effectively, they blew their load far too early. And they did so in the worst way possible. Because the problem about Highgard is that generally, it looks like ass. I say ass. It's not bad looking. It just looks... It would be one thing if it would look ugly. It's not ugly. It's just
but you can never,
plain.
Ever.
Almost looks like an asset flip.
Take away my space game.
Knowledge Lambo 1 just resubscribed for 23 months. Game sucks, debate me.
No. Thank you for the 23 months of support. You're very important, Pupper. Thank you. You're very first, sir. This is your fault that you're drinking night. Shots and cheers, check y'all. Shots and cheers. I didn't hear that. Dated is a great way of putting it. It's a game developed by people who grew up playing Counter-Strike. So it was like a game designed for an audience that I don't think exists anymore. Asset lists can be good. Look at Expedition 33. Over half the assets are from the Epic Store. Yeah, but the thing is that Expedition 33 doesn't look like an asset flip. They added a lot of touches. The characters are all handcrafted. There's no just like generic characters. The problem about John Highgard is that John Highgard looks like an asset you would get from an Epic Store. He looks like a pre-made character from, you know, designed by somebody who's just generically making something. And all the characters, none of them really stand out. They just look sort of meh. And for a game that whose main like attraction in terms of making money was to get a cosmetic skins for your character, I'm like, listen, if you're gonna go for Gooner bait, you gotta go for Gooner bait, because that's the only way you're gonna make money off of cosmetic skins in that kind of game. There are two ways to do that. One is to do it like super like I just said. And then the other way is to go with like cosmetics for like weapons and like different armor skins and like, if this was Titanfall, I'm not bitter, different like skins for your Titan, you know? I'll be double for me. Thank you. And I think that's one of the reasons why I have been chomping at the bit to say that CIG needs to do better marketing. Now, at this point, I will tell you this. I know when the game's going to release. At least internally. And which means that the development team at Squadron all know the date. They have a date set. Not tomorrow. It was yesterday. You missed it. See, Daddy, y'all leak like sieves. There's not a specific date. There is a month that was floated to me. I'm not going to tell you, because if I tell you, I don't want to get the people who talk to me in trouble. All I can tell you is that there is time still. It's not anytime soon. Which makes me go, all right. If there's enough floating around where I'm sure C Daddy even knows at least the month, then there needs to start being some build up, whether CIG likes it or not. I'm not saying C Daddy told me shit. C Daddy didn't tell me shit. C Daddy's lips are fucking sealed. I couldn't torture it out of C Daddy. Yeah, Proxus will kill you. He will kill me. He'll find my house and kill me. Did you see Crimson Desert as Titans? I did not see that. Can you confirm that in fact it is this year? Yes, I can confirm that it is this year. Still planned. But still rough. Still rough. I don't know when Squadron Con is going to happen, if we're even going to have a Squadron Con. CIG would have said something by now. Devs must be in scramble mode. I don't know if, from the people I talked to, it didn't seem like scramble mode. It seemed like I'm dragging my fucking balls across the finish line. I may have to crawl through fucking hell, but I'm going to get through this finish line. And I hope I get to this finish line kind of mode. With full VR. Yes, we do know that it's going to be full VR. Not throwing a baby to the 5-yard line. Possibly that's a good analogy. I don't know. So the thing about the game as it currently stands, as far as I understand, is that it's fine, but there are parts missing. And it's depends on the build. Some builds it's super stable, some builds it's super not. Sounds like a game you've played recently? Made by Cloud Imperium Games? What is full VR? That part confuses me. So, let me show you. One of the things that that Squadron 42 has over Star Citizen is that Chris Roberts is a fucking maniac and has animations for everything. So when you hop into your Gladius in the game, you will flip actual switches as you turn things on. Your character will move their hands around and do the things they're supposed to do. So there's a lot more animations because there's limited numbers of ships and activities you can do in Squadron compared to Star Citizen. At one point, they did try to import some of those activations with your hands onto the Gladius into Star Citizen. I think it's been removed back and forth for a while. I don't know if it's causing issues or something like that. But what I mean by full VR is you have your VR controllers and you can play the game with your VR controllers. So it'll map your arms as they move around, your head. It'll have the full tracking, full motion tracking. That is what Chris Roberts means by full VR. It's full, not full. Listen to the soundbite again. The game can be played from beginning to end. I almost laughed when someone told me that. I was like, what? Are you don't know the reference to you, what you just said. Hey, Victoria.
You can take away my spaceship.
I'm not going to spoil the game for you, though, y'all. It's just more of a just talking with some of the developers about it.
But you can never,
ever
take away my space game.
Grexam just resubscribed for 22 months.
Grexam, thanks so much for that Prime sub for 2020 months. You're very important, Papa. Very impressive, Mr. Fanny Pedestrian. This is your fault. There's been drinking night. Shots and cheers and chat, y'all. Shots and cheers. Another reason why I'm not saying the date that was told to me is because it's CIG. Dates change. They could easily get to a point where they had to fucking kick that baby down the road a little bit more.
Space lasers. But you can never,
ever. And if I said something through a leak, you would all get mad at me.
Ruckus38 just resubscribed for 53 months.
Thank you for the 53 months of support. You're very important, Papa. Very impressive, very pedestrian. There's fault. There's not. Cheers and cheers. Yeah, cheers. Just say, what do you mention? 12? No. No. Because I don't want to get people who've talked with me in confidence fired. And I will say, again, I say date. It wasn't a date. It was a month. Thank you for that 53 months, Ruckus. But there are Mondays and months. It could be a Monday. Could be any Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday or Friday, Saturday or Sunday. The new origin ship. Is it the car or something else? Have you heard anything about us in Star Citizen being able to drop a QT marker so we can return to high quality rocks? No. I'm assuming it has something to do with quantum drive and the new flight model that probably has an in, which is probably has to do with the new scanning systems. Yeah, well, yeah, if it's unannounced, it may not be the G12. It's a day that ends in Y, yeah. Likely off topic, but have you heard any internal rumblings on if they plan to restructure to focus on the PU after Squadron gets out the door? I've heard fears about it. I know there's somebody who is possibly leaving soon. A big name. If they haven't already left. No, it's not Jared. Most people wouldn't know this person unless they were like an old head like me. I mean, I'd love to see them announce it on Fleet Week. That would make the time line up a little bit better. But John Crew's leaving. I think you'd have to drag John Crew out by his fingernails. John Crew got fucked over by Crytek multiple times, and he's helped build this company from with like one of the original people doing ships. I don't think John Crew's going anywhere. Tyler, no, Tyler isn't going anywhere. But I will say that there's definitely some concern about what's going to happen to the Squadron team after they release. Tony C's finally retiring. That team works on the second part of Squadron 42. Not necessarily right away, though. As far as I can tell from the people I've talked to who work on Squadron, none of them have been told directly, or at least haven't told me when I talked with them, about possibly what the plan is next year. Most of them are just focusing on the goal. They're focusing on the target, but there are some rumblings about the team in terms of what's going to happen, especially around the consolidation to Manchester. There are fears about that. Moving more people from the other studios to Manchester because they just run the studio better when everyone's in one place. But that's not new. That's something that's been a concern that we've seen as a community. We've seen that play out over the last 5 years. Did they close the Whimso studio? I think they did. Remember that before or around 2020, there was a plan to open up another studio in France. There was going to be a studio that was going to be dedicated to working on Star Citizen that was going to be funded by Turbulent. That was before they acquired Turbulent. Trying to make them make some people move will make them quit. Yeah, that's the fear is, if you're not working in the Manchester studio and you can't move because you've got family or because you've got roots, then they may lose their jobs. That's another fear. France, Montreal. There was rumors that they wanted to open up a separate studio in France. So like they had the studio in Montreal, but they were thinking like we could open up a separate studio in France that would be dedicated to, I want to say it was like procedural generation stuff. It was like they wanted to open up a studio that was going to be dedicated to producing content for Star Citizen that with the tools that were being developed by other things, and that just eventually like petered out, and they just acquired the studio altogether. I didn't say 3 months. Oh, did he say that it would be that the next origin ship would be in 3 months? Okay. I live in Montreal. Leave my studio alone. Sorry, Stefan. Jared said within 3 months. Okay. Yeah, I could see it being a combat ship. It'd be a weird thing to be a combat ship, but Origin isn't a stranger to doing contracts with the UE Navy. Or UE, so. 890 variant? Nah. My guess would be either just ripping complete off top of my head based on what's going on. I could see them creating effectively the Cutter Scout, but more advanced. So think a somewhere between a 100 and a 300. So like a 200 ship that is dedicated to scanning. I hope it's a general ship like the Flappy Bird. Three months is ILW, yeah. It could be a variant. CIG's been on a variant spree recently. But usually if it's a variant, they'll say, hey, we're working on a variant or something like that. This was just straight up an unannounced ship. We do know that the 200 does have some lore. It was built around the same time as the 300, and it was called an observer ship. So with CIG going into, because they've mentioned it several times now, that they're doing the scanning stuff. They're working on it. It is going to come into the game in the next 6 months, or at least plan to. That you don't plan, you can't plan a ship because it takes 18 months to do a ship sometimes. Like just the average, just assume it's 18 months. So this ship would have to been in planning in 2023. And in 2023 or 2024, in 2023 and 2024, one of the things they were talking a lot about was scanning. They mentioned a lot of that new stuff. So Drake Cutter Scout with a martini glass? Yeah, kind of. Probably more advanced. If that would be my sort of guess riff, is that there's just not a lot of scanning ships. You've got the Drake Cutter Scout, you've got the Terrapin, you've got the Hornet Tracker, and then you've got just the dedicated Explorer ships. You don't have a lot of other dedicated sensor ships. So a fast terrapin. So it's not necessarily durable, but it's sort of exploration, but it's also more dedicated as support. Censorship, yes. Remember, when they said the new refueling ship is coming, both of the guests there said, not anytime soon. Like, almost in sequence. So it's definitely, the refueling ship is a concept at this point. Probably not even white box. I have a hot take. I think the BMM will turn out to be designed as a generalist capital ship. I agree, honestly. I think the idea behind what the Bennett BMM and the Privateer were originally supposed to do is no longer really relevant. So what they'll end up being is sort of mobile places where you can sell goods and services to other players, which is a small niche. They've been busy adding extra features to data ships lately. It would be wild if they then just went ahead and added another ship without the feature in game. I don't think it'd be too wild if it's coming out in 3 months, because let me look it up real quick. In the roadmap roundup from last week, they added to the progress tracker. One of them was radar, FPS, and scanning, which was extended to May 29th, 2026. So scanning possibly by Invictus? Yeah, I could see it. And there's an Origin ship coming within 3 months, which would line up with Invictus. Again, planning versus execution are completely different, and you can't always make sure things work, but CIG's been getting better at that. So I could see that a Origin ship would be released, maybe not in May, maybe in June. So like they have FPS, radar, and scanning added for the Invictus patch, and then the June patch in May, and then in June they release the like kind of in-between release, and it's the Origin ship. Because the other things that are coming around that time are the vehicle command module, which we almost for sure know is for the Ironclad, which we know is going to be in game by Invictus. At least that's their plan. And the ship hangar landing services, which is the refuel, rearm, repair functionality on combat ships. And again, almost certainly they're shooting for what's that new thing? Fleet ops, possibly combined fleet ops for around Invictus. That would make sense as well. $200 idle year, yeah. All right, can we talk about this? All right, no shade on CNA in this one, okay? Oh, it's ended. Oh, shit. The fuck was this? I'm confused. Because was it just the 600 and the 400 and the 800?
You can even take away my space lasers. But you can never, ever take away my space game.
Yeah, I guess it's an excuse for sale and just a weird experiment.
Northern Trooper just resubscribed for 32 months. So is the Origin promotion another EA sales manager move?
Possibly. Though the guy who's the EA sales manager, I don't think he works for CIG anymore. Give that 32 months. I don't think it was a way to distract us. I think it was CIG doing... So, one of the things you got to understand, chat, is that there's going to be a lot of experimentation. CIG does this all the time. That's what they did last year with their packages, the patch packages, with like the similarly themed armor color and the ship skin. The bundles, the patch bundles, that apparently was very successful. So they're doing it now with monthly release. This seems very much like a similar attempt to try to make more money with some specific ones. Because I mean, the 800 is a limited sale, so trying to bring out some more of the limited stuff. I don't think the 600 or the 400 is, but. Was there any sort of discount on any of this? I'm not logged in, so I don't know. 600 had name ability? Yeah, it does have a name ability. They didn't have Warbond CCUs? Okay. Listen, like right here, they have a Red Festival starter set for $100. That comes with the starter package, the ship, the suit, the helmet, and the gun. Like, they are doing discounts. For fucking once. Like the Heartthrob bundle. It's just that's the regular bundle. Kind of like in case you missed it, I actually loaded up my cart with a bunch of CCUs and waffled for a couple days. Then I decided to pull the trigger, and it was over when it should. Okay, yeah. $890 jump was 890 USD war bond and 950 store credit. I think it's the first time the touring had a war bond CCU. Okay. Mike Jones isn't that the guy who does their why the fuck am I blanking on the name? Their tech guy, right? He does like I don't think he's left. Unless I'm thinking Mike Jones is the person who did the server meshing. I don't think that was the case. He's the tech backend guy. Huh. Yeah, he's left. If it's the server meshing guy. Hey, Paul, do you put anything in them calling them the 400 series, 600 series, and 800 series? No, that's how Origin names their ships. They have the 300 series, the 100 series, the 400 series, the 600 series, and the 800 series. Because it's named after BMW. Yeah, Mike Jones is the Buzzcut Texan computer hardware guy. Yeah, he's still around. VP of IT, yeah, VP of IT, yeah, I think he's still around. With his fucking amazing belt buckles, yeah, I think he's still around. He's older, but, I mean, it's been fucking, what? 14 years. He's been there for like a decade. Without announcing any time frame of the reworks this year, this flash sale comes off as a cheap cash grab. Tell me the reworks released next 6 months, then do a sale. Then they're not going to do that. But yeah, I do feel like that. But here's the thing, Gray. Ian Wilson's not wrong. The funding tracker is doing really well. This is the best February they've ever done. I agree, Fishbait. If they really wanted to make more money, they just need to make all ships below 1K permanently available to buy. However, I get what they're doing, which is they're trying to limit the amount of ships available, not for FOMO, but because it's just bad marketing. They get shit on all the time for allowing ships, and people will just lose their mind. If it's during a sale, people kind of like internalize it. But if you just had like a $600 ship always available for people to purchase at any time, people would go, wow, this game's fucking scam. The real question is, why is the 890 jump still hull limited? Because it's a larger ship. CIG has tried to limit larger ships since like the beginning of their like selling ships. Whether you believe their excuse or not, which is they want to try to make sure that not everyone has large ships at the release of the game, is up to you. Because at this point, they've been selling large ships once, if not twice a year, in the like realm of like 1,000 for a long time. So there's at least like 12,000 out there, minimum. FOMO is the best way to make sales. A little discount on top is that people forget there's a credit card limit. Not really. I don't think FOMO is the best way to make sales. It's a great way of getting short-term profits, but it doesn't really help you with long-term gains. FOMO has to make people actually have a fear of missing out. And that doesn't really work. Not with I don't think it really works with ships. Though I do agree that if CIG made some ships more available more frequently, they'd have better sales, because some people have the cash on hand in July to buy a Idris. They don't have the cash on hand in October to buy an Idris because they've got other things they got to do. FOMO has fueled almost $1 billion in funding. I disagree with that idea. I think that's a gross misrepresentation of how CIG has sold things. Yeah, the artificial rarity in game side isn't a valid argument anymore. Just look at all the Idrises. Idris lol. It's still less than how many people who could afford it. So at this point, you can rely on ships coming back to upgrade to. Yeah. The way CIG does hull limited ships isn't very great. And on top of that, all of the ships are available in game. Almost all of them you can buy in game as well with cash. Like in-game cash. Oh, my sister messaged me. Oh, Scrubs is coming back. That was her favorite show. No. One ping facility. Like me buying a Pioneer a year and a half ago and still no ship or progress on base building. FOMO. So you decided to pull the trigger on something before it was released, and you're claiming CIG told you to buy it now and you never get it again? That sounds like a personal problem, my dude. That doesn't sound like a FOMO. FOMO typically is where you go, hey, here you go. Here's this thing. You only have a limited time to get it, and if you don't get it now, it's gone forever. The Disney Vault is a great way of example of FOMO. There's artificial scarcity, like where you oh, hey, this is we're only gonna do it this. It was one day only, and we're only gonna do this much, even though they have more. With say, even with the artificial scarcity with the Idrises and stuff like that, there's always the next 6 months you're almost guaranteed another Idris. CIG did try to do that at least early on with some the M50 stuff. We're oh, this is an exclusive deal. We're only gonna do it this once, and then they just didn't. So at this point, CIG is just bad at FOMO. Yeah, the Disney Vault they don't do the Disney Vault anymore, but that was an example of that. Thanks, Citizen Dorsey. Have a good night, bud. It's okay to be mad that CIG hasn't done something on a ship. That's not FOMO, though. That's just hey, I feel tricked because CIG made it seem like things were closer than they were. Never. Ever.
Take away my space game.
See every BMM owner ever. Just them being shitty at communicating.
Low_tep just resubscribed for 51 months.
Thank you so much for that 51 months of support there, Low Tep. You're very important, Papa. Very impressive as a very pedestrian. This is your fault. You're drinking night. Shots and cheers in chat, y'all. Shots and cheers. Oh, yeah, no. Twin, the Pioneer is literally offered every IAE, if not also Invictus. I think it might be limited sales, whole limited sales now, but it's just like the Idris and the Javelin just still offered. Or the 890 or the Privateer and the Kraken, they're all available every sale. Rarely, it comes out twice a year. Tim the Merchantman. Merchantman comes out twice a year, too. Again, it's just... I understand being upset about CIG not releasing something, but that's not FOMO. That's just CIG being shitty at communicating. I have a question. Since CIG is heavily inspired by sci-fi classics, and I know that you spoiled Squadron plot for yourself, is it very kitschy and cliche? Do you mean, are they referencing other material all the time? No. Just don't expect high art. The focus is, the heavy focus is on character.
Citizen_DZ just gifted 5 subs.
Thank you for giving those 5 subs there, Citizen DZ. You're very important, Papa. Very impressive, Mr. Very impressive. You rock. Shots and cheers in chat, y'all. Shots and cheers. Thank you, DZ. Update on your new historian video. Should be out this weekend. I've been working on it. I just got to go into the game and record a bunch at this point. My plan is to work on it tomorrow because I'm not streaming. I'm going to be on the Launch Sequence podcast to talk a little bit about crafting and UUI. Spaceman wanted me to come on and talk about that because he said he doesn't have a lot of experience with MMOs, and he wanted me to like use my experience with MMOs. And ironically, I don't think it's an MMO is a good comparison to it. It's much more like a survival game. Yeah, it's tomatoes. It's tomatoes. It's not a live podcast. It's recorded. I think if you're his, like a member of his or like a subscriber, he'll let you know on the on his Discord when we're doing it. But yeah. How many times do me and Tomato have the same conversations? A lot. I've known Tomato for years now. I'll have random conversations with him, X. Like, me and X don't talk nearly as much as we used to. Me and Al will talk every so often. You can watch it on Discord for yourself, yeah. But to answer the question, because I do know that people are interested on this one, Squadron 42 is an adventure story. And it takes itself seriously, so it's not a comedy, but its main focus is on character building. There's a lot of character building that goes on in terms of knowing individual characters on the Stanton and other things like that. And there is a plot, but that plot sort of holds the entirety of the like the character dynamics together. That's it. Wait, it's not that much. I'm just saying, don't expect Last of Us. Expect space adventure, and you're good. Did you play and or watch Wing Commander, the movie, and or play the Wing Commander games? That. I just wonder if the game won't rely too much on cliche patterns that can turn into cringeworthy dialogues and the plot. No, not that I could tell. I hope the characters are well written. As far as what I saw and what I heard and what I've, what saw and heard, yeah, they're pretty well written. I mean, they're not going to be like the best characters you've ever seen, but all of the actors came to fucking act. They are taking the material they have and they are fucking sending it. And we saw that in the prologue. How would you compare Squad 42 to Mass Effect story, plot, gameplay? I mean, it has some similarities to Mass Effect 1. There's a huge mystery component. Like, a lot of the game, you're trying to solve a mystery. That involves lots of different things going on. There's some twists and turns. But you're not saving the universe. You're not, John Mass Effect. You know, you're not Shepard. You're not the special boy who's going here to save the universe. You are John Citizen, literally. You are John Squadron. The right man in the wrong place that makes all the difference in the world. None of this is spoiling, Jin. This is all stuff we already know. Have a good night, DT. I have not actually played Squadron 42. No. But I have talked with devs. I have seen... Devs have showed me some parts of Squadron. But, like, small parts. In other words, you're not the Messiah. No. That's exactly what the Messiah would say! He is the Messiah. Like, Mass Effect is this sort of it's KOTOR without lightsabers sort of thing. This is this is Wing Commander but upgraded. So, like, if you played the original Wing Commander, like, a lot of your wingmen got a lot of attention. You got to meet them all. You got to meet them in the like, cafeteria. You got to talk with them. Hobbs, everyone loves fucking Hobbs. The ace pilot, Kilrathi, who joined the Federation. I thought it was Half-Life in space. There's definitely a lot of Half-Life inspirations, clearly. I'm glad the whole game isn't spoiled for you. No. I know the story. I know the plot. I know the twists. But that, again, was a decade ago. Things could change. Does that mean there's not funny characters? I mean, what was it? I really hope they got him back, but the actor who played Maniac. Pretty sure gave me PTSD from Hobbs. Yeah, I forgot the actor's real name. You're never gonna get Matthew Lillard. Not that. Not that Maniac, because that's from the movie. I'm talking about the games. I'd love to see Matthew Lillard come back. I'd be giddy to see Matthew Lillard come play. Oh, there'll be no cheap tear jerkers. There probably will be. I can't, like, 100% tell you yes or no, but, like, it's not a bright and sunshiny day. Remember, the plot of Star Citizen is, this is the end of the Roman Empire. Shit gets real. Matthew Lillard, but his character from Hackers. No, it's Matthew Lillard, but he's what's his name? Afton, William Afton from Five Nights at Freddy's. Chris loves to take your heart out and stomp on it in his games. What I will say is come into the game with the expectation of what you saw at the preview. If you saw the prologue, expect that. Only don't expect to see, like, all of those, like, super A-list characters the entire game. You might see them here and there, but, like, we know from other things, it's like you go from the Academy to the Stanton, and the Stanton goes to the fucking ass end of the universe in the Odin system. So I don't think, you'd be palling around with Admiral Bishop in the fucking Odin system for just daily patrols. Yeah, it's the same guy as Biff from Back to the Future. What's his name? Thomas Wilson. Yeah, thank you. I'd love to see Thomas Wilson come back. That would be fun. I'm not going to talk about the speedboat mission. That is spoilers. But the boat being added to Star Citizen, yeah, when CIG can make it work. The thing you got to remember is that a lot of people, and I've been saying this forever and people don't believe me, if it's in Squadron, it's going to Star Citizen. There is a very rare case where it won't end up in Star Citizen, but that's mostly things like that are specific to Squadron and that have already changed for Star Citizen, like the flight mob. Tom Wilson, yes. Last I heard, yes, there is a dog in the game and you can pet them. Though the original prompt to pet the dog was eat. So when you went up to pet the dog and you pressed F, it didn't say pet, it said eat. You still pet the dog, but it would be like eat the dog. Say, will we be able to import our keybinds from Star Citizen Squadron 2? Almost certainly, yeah. There'll probably be some stuff you'd have to change. But, like, there's no... As far as I know, like, mining or salvaging or anything else like that. Like, that just doesn't fucking happen in the game. Yeah, the guy who played Biff. He was also Maniac in the original Wing Commander games 3 and 4, I think. Would Banu eat dogs? Yeah, they would. If they give an opportunity to. Consume! Hello, Popper, I will consume you. Just pets. What you're saying is CH your monsters. Anyone else shocked and surprised? I'm gonna be honest with you. It does make sense after Chris talked about it, because I'm like, yeah. Chris has talked about it a couple times, or it's been mentioned a couple times, maybe by the CIG members. But one of those things was like a lot of the stuff that they did for in the universe UI and inverse kinematics and all sorts of the animations they did. All of that basically created the ability to do full bore VR stuff pretty natively. Because they already, Chris's fucking obsession with realism, immersion, basically allowed it so that all the stuff you normally have to do for VR, you could just do for free. Because it's already ready to go. It's just a matter of mapping the movements of the arms so you can do full in VR. I think it'll be an interesting game in VR. Because it's not going to be like a separate VR game. It's going to be just fully included. For the Squadron 40 stuff, the stuff they're holding back for Star Citizen after release, no, they've been adding it here and there. Like, we'll see some of it here in the next couple of months. Like, the scanning system that they added to Squadron, including the FPS scanning, is going to come to Star Citizen, hopefully by May, but probably, maybe not exactly by May. We'll probably see the flight model before the end of the year. It's just a matter of when it's built for Squadron, it's built for a single-player game. And once you import it to Star Citizen, now it has to deal with the fucking servers and the back-end services. So it has to, like, request information from the back-end services. So it basically has to be set up for all of the stuff that Star Citizen does. So, like, what you're importing effectively is just a UI screen with some functionality that is yet to be hooked up properly. As far as I can tell, that's the major reason why we haven't gotten a bunch of stuff from Squadron, is just because the connections haven't been made. They just don't have the time or the energy to do so, because those people are also working on the server meshing and dynamic server meshing and all the other shit. So it's just like, you got to pull those people away from those projects to put these things in, and they're relatively not important in comparison to the fucking thing that's going to make the game work. Not just servers, but stuff that just doesn't exist in Squadron, like ship tents, building tents, base building, etc. Yeah. Like, the difference between buildings in Squadron and buildings in Star Citizen is some of them will be buildable. So if you're doing a scan, how will it show up? How will buildings show up in Star Citizen? Because that's probably not in Squadron. Ray tracing already works in Squadron because it's a lot easier, for instance. Yeah. Can you predict, based on what you know, what percentage of Squad 42 will spend in which star system? I'm not going to talk about that, because that is also spoilers. I can confirm that you spend the prologue in Vega, as we already saw, and there's a large section in Odin. But I'm not going to tell you how long you are in Odin. I will just say, don't expect a globe-trotting adventure. You're not going to 17 different systems. And if you are, it's not going to be a fully fleshed out system. Like, Vega is not the full system of Vega. It's just the planet. I have not playtested. I have accidentally spoiled myself on the entirety of the plot by searching for a separate audio file and ended up hearing the Squadron 42 audio files, and a lot of them were spoilers, so I just went through and listened to all of the audio files that I could find in Squadron and pieced them together. Yeah. Now, this is from a leak from 2016 when basically the entirety of the build was released to the point where there was actual directions. You could hear the directions from Chris Roberts, him directing in the background to the different characters. It wasn't Jared's fault. It was the CIG should have had better security. Paul, did you mention the possibility of the flight model being the year? I personally think it has a chance because they've been testing it. We know because it was leaked that they were testing it with a small group, and that was, people got mad about that. Yes, CIG should have had security. They didn't have any. It was basically an open Amazon AWS server that anyone could access as long as you had the URL. It was awful. Not sure if you're able to answer this question or not. There might be spoilers, but are there any prominent alien characters the main character frequently interacts with on a friendly scale? That's spoilers. I'm not going to talk about it. Don't try to get specifics out of me, y'all. I'm not going to tell you specifics. A, you don't want to hear specifics. Trust me. B, any specifics I do know may have changed. Because, again, 2016 was 10 years ago. All right, I'll be right back, y'all.
Weapons free, y'all.
Good news, everyone! Genesis? Barcelona! Barcelona!
Distress bacon.
Barcelona! Barcelona!
Mission complete. Burrito I eat. There you go.
Everybody and his dog calls himself an outlaw.
Barcelona! 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 Barcelona!
I'm just an old-fashioned cowboy.
Genesis?
Stand by for Titanfall.
2 words. Distress bacon.
I love democracy. I love democracy.
Hello, I like money.
Barcelona! 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 Barcelona!
I'm just an old-fashioned cowboy. Mission complete. Burrito I eat. There you go. Mission complete. Burrito I eat. There you go.
Genesis? Genesis?
Good news, everyone!
2 words. Distress bacon.
I'm Fly. I'm Pilot.
Drugs.
Good news, everyone!
Genesis?
I'm fine. I'm fine. It wasn't that long. Have a good night there, Deckard. Yeah, I'm going to cut off on this Squadron 42 discussion. The only thing I'm worried about at this point isn't that if the game is good or not. It's just that if CIG can market it properly and with enough effort. And again, give us an incentive to get our friends involved. So we've talked a little bit about the weird origin sale. I think it's an experiment. I don't know if they'll do it again. They might. They probably did some sales. So, did I end up with more viewers than I left? I'm at 110. Yeah, maybe. Chair is far more popular than me. Pull up the CCU game. Holy ball sacks. Are you fucking kidding me? Chad, we gotta take a look at this. This is insane. Like, legitimately insane. Oop, wrong one. They have made $17 million this year so far. They are ahead of last year. Holy fuck. I mean, they might. Yeah, this was when 4.0 released was around here officially. Even though it was released here, it was officially released around here. I don't think they'll hit 200 million. At the current rate they're going, though, they could easily hit 160. Oh yeah, the Ironclad and the Kraken are going to make them a lot of money. It's almost as if the funding tracker is a marketing tool. I mean, it is. I don't think... Knowledge, you were putting far too much competency and wherewithal in CIG to believe that this was a fucking psyop. Like, this is not a psyop. This is just... CIG did something because they thought it was cool, and they stumbled into something good. Which ship release will put over... Where are we at now, anyways, overall? We're pretty high. We're almost to 1 billion, aren't we? 900 and... So, it's going to be a bit. We're not even at 950 yet. 950 mil. They'll do it this year. But when did they get 50 mil? Invictus. Yeah. I think Invictus will happen. I don't think the funding tracker really is my point, and how they keep it around is because it generates hypes and confirmation bias. So you think that they've been broke for, let's see, 14 years? Well, we know CIG's financials because they have to legally publish their financials. And we've seen them as far back as, was 2023 was the last time we saw it? Or was it 2022? One of these two. I think it was the last one we said. Which is interesting. We should probably see the next one soon. Probably 23 or 24. And as far as I can tell, those financials line up with the funding trackers. So if those financials also correspond with this, and those are legal documents given to the government of Great Britain, then I will trust this as I do those legal documents that are legally binding in a court of law. It's like when people say that, like, oh, secretly CIG has paid X content creator who's pretty famous to play the game. I'm like, you really think that CIG is going to pay somebody like a big name YouTuber or Twitch streamer to play the game and they don't ever acknowledge they're paid by CIG? You think content creators who have no skin in Star Citizen would take money? Like CIG must be paying them a fuck ton of money if they're willing to go to deal with like the federal government. Legally, we have to disclose if we get any sort of sponsorship. Every time I do a giveaway that CIG gives me a ship for, I have to disclose it is from CIG. And that's just a ship. If you get paid to do a paid sponsorship, you have to like denote that it's an ad. That's not just a US thing. I think it's like now it's like a European thing as well. So like, as a content creator who's been doing this for a long time, whenever I hear people say, well, obviously they're paid, I'm like, did they fucking disclose it? No, I don't think that these people dealing with CIG are going to, not random people, these well-known established content creators are going to risk their career for a game they just heard about. Ships from the gray market don't count towards this because ships from the gray market aren't sold from CIG's website. Now there are some things in terms of subscriptions and other things. We don't know if those count towards the funding tracker either, but that doesn't really matter because they also tell us the breakdowns in those financial reports. Here, let me pull it up. Here we go. It's on their website, May 2nd, 2025. Cloud Imperium financials for 2023. So sales, pledges, counter, subscriptions, and other income. So we know that, and this is in thousands. So they got 6,000 thousand. So it's like, what, 6 mil? From subscriptions, like partnerships, incentives, and others, about 17 mil. And the rest of it was 119 mil in 2023. And based off of this, in 2023, 117 mil. So that's about the same as the tracker, if I'm reading that right. And we can see the total sales, subscriptions. So they don't make a lot of money in subscriptions, but it is going up over time. I'm just saying, when you have data, you can use the data to see if you're right or wrong. And this is something that they've had to publish with the government of Great Britain. So don't fall into the trap of just being like my own bias is telling me something's wrong without, you know, seeking to see if your bias is leading you astray. And CIG publishes this legal data once a year. And this has a historical tracker of everything they've done. And if it lines up more or less with the tracker that we see in that we have available, then yeah, it is a guesstimate to a degree. In this case, it's actually underguessing the amount of sales they're making from ships. Well, I'll show you. So this is from 2023. Let me do this. So we can compare these side by side. 2023 had a total of 17 million. According to this, it was 17,564,380. Plus an additional 3 million. I don't know where the 3 million is coming from, but, and that's, here it says it's 119,336,000. And then the year before was about 14 mil. This is about 13 mil. So notice that they're all undercounting on the counter and they overcount on the actual financials. But this is about the same. 86, 86, 78, 76. So this one is a little overcounted. 47, 47, 37, 37, 34, 34, 35, 36, 32, 35, 28, 32, or no, 28's over here. So I'm 32, 30. I got dyslexic. Yeah. So based off of this tracker that they've published and these trackers here, they're more or less the same. Within the ballpark of sometimes they overcount by a couple million, sometimes they undercount by a couple million. And we know that this is sales, pledges, and counter, and then the subscription service is a little different, and then this is other revenues. So this is basically the sales of ships, pledges, and the, I don't know what the counter is, but yeah. I'm telling you that what you're claiming is that CIG is lying on their financial records for a legal government document, which is a big deal if they are, like committing fraud on a large scale to the British government, which has much more higher standards and rigorous standards for this sort of thing, which is why they have to publish in the first place, than the United States. It's a hell of an accusation, yeah. You're saying they're cooking the books without anything, then my vibes are off, kind of thing. I'm not saying it. This is the legally binding page right here, dude. The Cloud Imperium financials for 2023. The reason why they publish this is because they legally have to publish this with Great Britain, the government of Great Britain. So this is their legal statement to the British government. They also publish on their website because why the fuck not? It's already going to be public record because it's a part of the British government. And so they go through the whole deal, and this is their income. They show off their income. And I just showed you that this income matches with the funding tracker. So if this income matches with the funding tracker historically, then the funding tracker is pretty accurate. And it even breaks it down based off of sales, subscriptions, and then incentives, partnerships, and others. Yeah, they're getting audited and stuff too, yeah. But what I'm saying is that this and this are matching up. The funding tracker and the financials are matching up. And if they match up from year to year, then the funding tracker is right. Now, to be fair, we've only had up to 2023. We haven't seen 2024 or 2025 yet. So these could be way off. And that would be a big scandal if they were cooking the books like crazy for the two big, of like the biggest year they've ever had, according to their own funding tracker. This is I believe the other income is the Calder's investment. This this turquoise ones. Pledges sales from counter. This line is taken directly from our daily published funding count stats counter. So this is saying that this line here is literally the same thing as their funding tracker. Other income. This represents partnerships income with various hardware and software vendors, sponsorship income, and various local incentives based on the nature and location of development and the production activities. It also includes any exchange differences as from above. Okay, so it doesn't counter take into account investment from the Calders, but it's pretty detailed. I'd suggest reading it if you're interested. Talks about CapEx investments. CapEx and investments. This is the head count, how many people are working. Obviously, development is the largest chunk, and most of it's in the rest of the world. Overall, it's the highest. Talking about the production, the buying of Turbulent. And I think that's it they have here. They have the corporate financials for 2022. There may have been some stuff in here, but I don't know if the investment from the Calders was published here. But yeah, no, like this information's available. As far as I understand, the Calders was not a Kickstarter thing. The Calders they were introduced to Chris from a mutual friend who was also an investor. And the Calders decided to invest at that point. Yeah, you're right. It would have been there too, yeah. Last we heard, the Calders was when the Ortwin cashed out and the Calders doubled down. Yeah. Show me the Calders investment from the funding tracker. I don't think it's on the funding tracker. Because based off of CIG's own financials, the funding tracker is just for sales and pledges and those sorts of things. But it was disclosed at some point, which is another reason why they had to start doing these, was because they had that outside investment. Off topic, anyone tried spacecraft? I have no idea what spacecraft is. Darge, it's cool. Don't time him out or anything like that. It's not annoying. I'm just trying to give, because there's probably other people in chat who don't really know what these things are, because I know it's a common belief that the funding tracker is a scam. And like, you can believe whatever you want, but at the end of the day, what matters is that you like do some research. Look it up. And there are resources there. As an educator, I always recommend people to do some research on things. You might find some interesting things. I am an absolute fucking nerd for data like this. I grew up in a family of marketing researchers. So this is the kind of shit that I'm just like mainline in my veins, baby. I don't always know what to do with it, but I love seeing the data. I love like seeing data like mapped out and that kind of stuff. I would kill to know how many subscribers CIG has. Well, I know, but I mean like subscribers in terms of like I'm a corporal confirmed. Yes, I am a suit. My point still stands. Explain the funding tracker, not showing the Calder's investment, and then I will concede the funding tracker is accurate. I can show you, I will show you this, because it actually says specifically for 2023 what the income is. It tells us how to read it. These sorts of things to do all the time. It says, to recap, the top 3 lines describing our revenue are the sources: pledges, sales from counter. This line is taken directly from our daily published funding stats counter, showing the net receipts from our backers and customers. The vast majority of sales are from starter package sales granted access to Star Citizen Alpha game, as well as spaceships and digital items immediately delivered and playable in the game. A small fraction of sales come from pledges for concept ships, which will come with an included loaner ship due to the immediate use for playability with Star Citizen Alpha. Due to the exchange differences in small items that are not included in the counter, such as shipping costs, charges on physical goods, and the counter does not completely represent all revenue received, other than subscriptions referred to below. These differences are included in the final income line to give an accurate representation of the total sales received. So they even said it's not fully accurate, but they try to make the difference in here in terms of the total income. This is not and again, this is not just CIG's, my word for it. This is something they publish to the British government. They've been given a number of accounts that are new to each year, correct? They do actually have total citizens. The problem about that number is that if you create an account on the website, that counts as a new citizen. So the total citizen counter here is actually not correct, because it does not telling us how many fake highlight max citizens per day total. This is a fan one that scrapes the CIG's website. Because it also has changes in years and all that kind of stuff. It has all these sorts of different things, which is a great data source. But this is the total amount that they have, but that's just the number of accounts that have. We don't know how many accounts have a starter pack, at least. Their annual report is freely available from the UK Business Registry. Yeah. Who's their auditor? I don't know who their auditor is. Because I think here they also have CapEx investments. So like in 2023, they spent 163 mil. Oh no, because this one includes investments.
Hey, a tip!
At Wild, super short at $4.99. If they were going to scam, they wouldn't be so open with their financials. Most other game companies are not nearly as transparent.
Yeah. Odd opinion on page 4. Okay. This is just from their website, not from the UK website. I have to pull it up on that website. Sorry, chat. I will fall down this hole if we go too long. This is just the one that they posted on their website. Let me see if I can find the one. It's a UK Business Office, right? What's the website for the one that you should be on there? Not Yet Forsaken? Is it Company's Home? Why did you give me a Discord link? Oh, thank you. All right, pulling it up. May 1st, 2025. Audit exemption subsidiary accounts. I'm guessing it's this one? Okay. So, page for the company has a turnover of 77 million pounds in 2024. 2023 unaudited is 82 million. This decrease. Our people, our subscribers, liquidity risk. This is upside down. Statement of disclosure to auditors. In case each director in the office state the director's report approved. PricewaterhouseCoopers deemed to be reappointed under section 4872 of the Companies Act 2006. So their auditor is PricewaterhouseCoopers LLP. Independent auditors report. Opinion gave a true and fair view of the state of the company affairs as of that and its profit cash flows to the year end. Have been properly prepared. An ordinance with UK and United Kingdom, generally accepted accounting practice. The financial reporting standards have been prepared in accordance with requirements for the Companies Act of 2006. We've audited financial statements included within the annual report and financial statements, the annual report, which comprise data sheet at balance sheets as of the 31st of December 2024, the statement of comprehensive income, the statement of cash flows, the statement of changes in equity in the year that this ended. It notes that this financial statements. This is, again, official UK filing. Description of significant policies. Basis for opinion. We've conducted our audit in accordance with international standards for auditing and acceptable law. Our responsibilities under the ISA's UK are further described as auditors' responsibilities of the audit of financial statements and section of our report. We believe the audit evidence we have obtained is sufficient and appropriate for a final basis on our opinion. It's basically the auditor said, yeah, they're not lying. Okay, well, you see, PwC has also audited NVIDIA, and NVIDIA is a known scam. So checkmate, Paul. So according to this, they made a profit. I think this just for the UK, or is this because this is in Great British pounds? Is it already converted? Obviously, it's filed in UK. So would this line up? That was a good question. So according to this, maybe it might have been different back in 2004, but they had something like $103 million in 2024. Which is lower than was reported. The exchange rate may have been different for that, but back then. And unaudited, because they didn't get audited in 2023, they had 82. 110 million. Only for UK, yes. They don't have to disclose subs under the UK statute. Okay. So yeah, so this is just the stuff that they've earned through the UK. Yeah. I'm not an accountant, so I don't know all of this, the details here. Page 26 says their geographic turnover as only UK for all income. Guess they don't acknowledge the revenue source as source countries since only the UK location is processing the sales. Forget if CIG's been getting money or not. According to the UK, they're making fuck tons of money. Can't believe it's wait another 2 to 6 months to see the 2024 report on the Cloud Imperium site. Yeah, it's weird that you can see it on the. Well, I think they also incorporate other revenue sources they don't have to file for in the UK. Yeah, CIG. This is not secret news, but CIG spends as much money as they can when they get it. It's very expensive. It's one of those things where, you know, when I talked with the folks who work at Squadron 42, they seem to be at least a little nervous about the idea that they might lose their jobs. I think part of it is also because of the general state of the gaming industry sucks ass right now. So there's probably a little bit of jitters, especially for folks who aren't like essential higher ups, in terms of if their job is going to be there. But again, most of that anxiety that I heard was mostly from the non-UK studio folks. Yeah, we do know there's more coming out, but we don't know if they've changed their plan. Because the original plan was to do a turnover of like 2 years. So release the game. If they were going on Aaron's original plans, it was going to be release the game, I guess, in 2026 now. Then the part 2 would release in 2028. and Part 3 would release in 2030. Now, it's important to remember, as much as people will say, that's insane, one of the reasons why it took them so long to produce Part 1 in the first place was because they were doing... they were building the game as they went. So Part 2 is probably going to be the same engine. It's going to have the same materials. It's going to have the same, like, you're not going to suddenly not have gladiuses anymore, or scythes, or cutlasses, or shivs, or any of those. Like, those assets will be reused. They may have some updates because, of course, the planet generation technology has gotten better, but a lot of that stuff's already in Star Citizen, so it's already in the engine that they could just import it over. A lot of similar art assets, if not the same art assets. There'll probably have to be some new art assets. They'll probably have some changes in animation, new animations, new mocap stuff. But that doesn't take, 14 years to produce. Think about the turnover between Mass Effect 2 and Mass Effect 3. That was like a 3-year process, 2 to 3 year process, and a lot of what was done in Mass Effect 2 was carried over to Mass Effect 3. But, obviously updates here and there. Not likely. It's the kind of my area of things. CIG can leverage government subsidies to keep payroll healthy. UK and government can float on government monies for a while. Germany for 2 years. It takes a lot less time to retool the factory for a new product as opposed to building the factory from scratch. Yeah. Will the characters from Squadron 42 Chapter 1 move to Chapter 2? I assume some of them will. We don't know, like, I do not know the plot for Chapter 2. I don't know the plot for Chapter 2 or Chapter 3. So I couldn't tell you. I can tell you that the original plan for the game, based off of their own discussion, was your progression through ranks. So in the first game, you start off as a lieutenant, and just like in Wing Commander, you went up in rank. So I'm assuming that in Part 2, you're probably a captain. And in Part 3, you're a major, or if they're doing Navy ranks, probably not captain, you'd be a commander. All right, for Navy ranks. And then you would be, or lieutenant commander, and then commander or captain. A for science. Because the original Pegasus was supposed to be the, like, where you started off as. That was supposed to be the original one, and they changed it to the Idris. So it was supposed to be like you go from the Idris to the Pegasus to the Bengal in terms of working your way up to the stuff. That's nicely done, Paul. I may or may not have been doing a lot of research into military ranks because it plays a heavy thing in the book that I'm writing. But most of that is like Air Force Army, not Navy, but that was the idea. Remember, the original plot for Squadron 42 was so massive that it took Aaron Roberts to come in and say, absolutely the fuck not. We are not doing this in one game. This is too much. And clearly, based off of their latest estimates for how much time it's going to take, they were fucking right. If the first game alone is like 30 to 40 hours long, then Part 2 and Part 3, if they're even as long as Part 1, that means you would have a 60-hour game. That would have been a fucking marathon. I have not talked about crafting ish yet. I will. At the end. So in like a couple minutes, like 20, 30 minutes. The crazy thing is that I looked up the length of Wing Commander 4, the last Wing Commander game. Wing Commander 4 was like 15 hours long. Maybe not even. I think that was like the maximum. Yeah, 10 to 15 hours. And so this is like triple to quadruple the length of Wing Commander 4. Hey Jojo, how you doing, bud? Hey, Paul, do you think Noah will spend significant time in the Bengal in Squadron 42? From the material we have, there's a few moments that make it look like we go there at some point. That is a spoiler. I don't feel like talking about. There was a major spoiler there, and that for that point. You know, it could be interesting if they utilize jumps between games to have a shift in gameplay styles, moving from the first game being about fighter pilot style gameplay to the second game. I don't think so. I think they're going to stick with the fighter pilot stuff. Was that a Chris game, though? Was Wing Commander Prophecy made by Chris? I thought that was the Wing Commander game he didn't make. I can tell you that it's almost certain that the Javelin isn't fully rendered. Just the parts we go to in the first mission. According to the stuff I can find, it was about the same length. It was about 10 to 15 hours. No, it wasn't made by Chris. It was made by Frank Rowan. Oh, it never made it to consoles, but it made it to Game Boy Advance. Man, the PC version scored a perfect 5 out of 5 for graphics and 2 4 out of 5 scores. Not bad. It got 81% on game rankings. Metacritic didn't exist. Hey, Saint Dakun. So I'm gonna talk about that when we talk about the update, because they did update. They did tentative. I think it will be based off of my own experience playing it over the weekend. But I don't think anyone's really ready for what it's going to be, because it's not really going to be crafting as people want it to be. It is going to be crafting tier 0, where you'll be able to craft some things of higher quality, but it'll be limited, and the blueprints are sort of smattering. While you're looking at the reports from the UK site, I tried to look at the Montreal office, Turbulent, and I couldn't find anything, both from the province of QC, which is French, and the Feds. Is that a requirement to publish your stuff like the UK in Canada? I mean, Turbulent was working with government contracts at one point, so I fucking hope they were they were like doing like complying with government requires. No requirements in Canada. So it just may not be public. Yeah, they were working with the CBC. I gotta close this off. Sound? There should be sound. Oh, you're talking about, we're not going to watch the sound thing. We're going to watch that on Monday. What I love about Paul is he's CIG's most ardent supporter and their worst critic. Cloud Imperium Games is a corporation, and corporations are neither your friend nor your enemies. They are simply entities that exist to consume money. You have to treat a corporation like you would treat a wild animal. Its sole job is to consume to keep itself alive, and possibly to improve those who rely on it, the investors. That is its only job and its only purpose. Never trust a corporation at all to do the right thing without being forced to by either the federal government or by people pissing them off. My support for CIG comes from the fact that, from my experience, CIG treats their employees fairly well. There are exceptions. I've heard of those before. But they're a fairly rarity in the game sphere. And as far as we have seen thus far, their main focus is making the game. For good or for ill, it's making the game. They're spending every cent they get to try to make the game. We can only wait the day they hire us to go on a shadow runs. Yeah, they aren't. Corporations are not your friends or for your family. This machine cannot tell the difference between capital to be consumed and customers, nor does it care. Is that a Marx quote? By the way, in CIG Montreal LinkedIn, you can see them playing Project Zomboid. Almost certainly that's Benoit. That's got to be Benoit. What do you think about the stealth update that was about live thing? They addressed exploits? Almost certainly it's exploits. There may have been some back-end stability as well that they didn't want to bring attention to, but there were definitely some, almost for sure, some people who were doing some naughty things during the free flight, because that is what happens typically is people who make hacks will develop them and like test them during free flights, and so that they can sell them afterwards. That's a variation on a warning sign. Machine cannot tell the difference between metal and flesh, nor does it care. I'm going to use that. That's a great line. That line goes hard as fuck. I'm stealing that. I'm stealing to use it somewhere in the book about stompy robots that I'm writing. While someone's doing maintenance, one of the mecha, I'll probably use it as a line being said by one of the old heads to people who may not be familiar with the mecha, or even better, something that one of the pilots writes on their walker. Because that's a quote that would go hard on a walker. on like the exterior of a robot, like, you know, this machine, like on the arm, this machine does not know the difference between metal and flesh, nor does it care. Did Phantom Brigade have 2.0? I have not. I love Phantom Brigade. Fun fact about Phantom Brigade. Phantom Brigade was developed by KSP modders. I played it when it originally came out. I remember meeting the developers at a convention. I remember which convention it was in, but like I saw it and I was like, oh man, that's cool shit. And then I found out, like, wait, no, I know you guys. You guys did KSP mods. Personally, it's the best mech strategy game now. Damn, I'm gonna have to play it then. Would be a joke warning label on its shin. Yes. Yes. That is absolutely something that a tanker would write on their tank. For those tankers in the community, you would write that. You 100% would write that on a fucking tank. Better than BattleTech is high praise. Better than vanilla BattleTech or Rogue Tech? I mean, I played the shit out of vanilla BattleTech. And I love it. It's really good. Slim and Slender, our second platoon guns names. I love that one. I've done BTA 3062. That's a really good one. Though some of them don't really work. Phantom Brigade also has a Gundam mod. I love the story of Phantom Brigade 2. Or Phantom Brigade as well, I should say. Not 2, because it isn't really a thing. Let me look up Phantom Brigade 2. I'm going to make you all watch Phantom Brigade 2's trailer. Wait, this is for Phantom Brigade 1? This is just an update for Phantom Brigade 1? Nice.
Hey Brigadiers, this is Dakota, designer on Phantom Brigade. Our small team has been listening to your feedback and working on something huge. This is not your average update. It's a transformative overhaul of the entire game. The result is a significant leap forward in gameplay, content, and overall player experience. So let's get right into it and show you what's new. Welcome to Phantom Brigade 2.0.
Well, Hot Mech Summer just got more interesting.
We heard you wanted pilots who level up and were more specialized. We wanted that too. So we built a robust pilot progression system where pilots can gain experience, level up their stats, and choose from a pool of over 100 unique traits and abilities. Pilots can now synergize with your mechs, unlocking their true potential and giving even more options for build crafting. Will you level up a defender pilot, so you can use the pulse field perk to become an unstoppable juggernaut? Or will you slot in your sharpshooter and use their stabilized perk to ignore weapon sway and become a run and gun sniper? You told us you wanted more reasons to manage different pilots. Well, we did too. Pilots now gain fatigue each time they're deployed and can even suffer from various forms of trauma if they keep falling in battle. Make sure to stop and use the new camping system when necessary to keep your pilots in top combat condition. You can also recruit additional pilots to make sure you always have a squad ready to go. Sorry, pilots don't date, but we have expanded the visual customization options, which should help you with whatever headcanon you have going. We can't wait to see your favorite pilot and mech combos. Driving your home base around each province and choosing where to strike has never been better. In Phantom Brigade 2.0, we've completely reimagined the overworld, adding new provinces and unique landscapes for you to explore. Each province has various modifiers, terrain, and climates to consider. Fighting in the snow, you can queue up more attacks, since you won't need to worry about heat.
Jesus fucking Christ, guys. This is insane. This was a game created by Kerbal Space Program modders. This is a Unity game.
Build up, but the enemy plays by the same rules, so watch out. Each province is home to distinct enemy factions that deploy specialized squads. Will you proceed to Vremel and face off against Cascade's Spec Ops units? They specialize in concussive damage and will try to knock out your pilots instead of outright destroying your mechs. Or would you rather take the fight to the enemy in Lingstead and face the
It's a mech strategy game, yeah.
They prefer using weapons that cause debuffs like burn, that cripple your mech's ability to dissipate heat, or shock, that can damage nearby mechs.
To describe the plot of Phantom Brigade, it's Gundam 00. Sort of. Mixed with Wing. Sort of. It's a very Gundam plot. I'll pull up the official launch trailer so you can see what it's like.
We lost our home. We are outnumbered. And outgunned. But this new prototype lets us see a few seconds into the future. And that's all the time we need.
I haven't. I've under early access when it came out 7 years ago.
Tooth and nail to rebuild our forces. And now it's time to take back our home. They'll never see us coming.
Yeah, that was the big thing, was that you could predict what an enemy was going to do. If I remember, was there a rewind function for it originally, where you could rewind time after making a decision to change it up? But it's turn-based, yeah. So you could literally rewind last turn and change your tactics.
Whatever your choice, once defeated, their equipment will be yours to salvage.
It's
and add to
XCOM
your
with
growing
mechs.
arsenal. We've made salvaging equipment even easier. You can now compare against your currently equipped parts, so you can be sure you're spending your salvage budget wisely. The crafting system has also been completely reimagined. Rather than hoping for a blueprint in a lucky drop, you'll now dismantle equipment to unlock it in the workshop. We also made it easier than ever to upgrade your favorite equipment if you've already got a good thing going. All weapons, armor, and backpacks have been completely rebalanced to reward careful planning and tactical positioning. For example, sidearms now only fire once, but they pack a punch. Perfect for those up-close and personal moments. Plan your salvage accordingly to be able to deck out your mechs with the best equipment available. Our
more front
2.0
mission than
update
XCOM.
also includes new maps, new quests, and new combat scenarios. We've also improved our quest system, ensuring that after each battle, you are presented with a variety of new missions. We've added several unique scenarios we call breakthrough missions. These breakthrough missions take place at key moments of your campaign, where your squad must break through enemy lines to secure a path towards the capital. We won't give everything away here, so you can experience these exciting new missions firsthand. We've improved nearly every step of the gameplay loop, surfacing more information, giving you more choices, and reworking key mechanics. You can now review rewards and information about enemy forces and local conditions for every available mission directly from the overworld, allowing you to make an informed decision about your next destination. When assessing the battle readiness of your squad, you'll be able to tell at a glance if your pilot could do with a rest, or if they're getting a bonus to critical hit chance when paired with their preferred weapon type. Expanded lore can also be found in the brand new Codex, a handy resource that's filled with gameplay tips and refreshers on important systems. On top of that, we've streamlined the UI, expanded menus, refined damage logic, improved prediction systems, and much more. Come see for yourself how much has changed. Whether you're a veteran brigadier or a brand new player, there's never been a better time to play Phantom Brigade. This game has been a major part of our lives for many years, and we're so excited to finally share our huge free 2.0 update with you. Please check out our extensive patch notes, plus join our Discord to hang out and let us know what you think. Thanks for watching, and see you on the battlefield.
Brace yourself, games. Nice. You can tell these guys haven't gotten big yet because they just released the game as a new one and charge money for it. I call it Sean Murray syndrome. I will stream it, but time and place. Time and place. The time and place will probably be Hot Mech Summer, because I'll have more time so I can do it during the day. All right, chat. I'm going to step away again for a little bit to use the restroom. When I come back, we will be recording the office hours. Or the capsule. The capsule. You ran out of points. Okay.
himself an outlaw.
I love democracy.
Barcelona! Barcelona!
Stand by for Titanfall.
Mission complete. Burrito I eat. There you go.
Barcelona! Barcelona!
I'm just an old-fashioned cowboy.
Drugs. I'm Fly. I'm Pilot. Drugs.
Barcelona! 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 Barcelona!
Genesis? Good news, everyone!
I'm Fly. I'm Pilot.
2 words.
Weapons free, y'all!
Distress bacon.
I love democracy. I love democracy.
Stand by for Titanfall. Stand by for Titanfall.
Drugs.
Mission complete. Burrito I eat. There you go.
Hey, y'all. All right. You ready, chat? Are you ready? All right. Oh, hello. Welcome back. Or just welcome. My name is Paul, Berserker01, Batman Shelley, and this is my office hours. Capsule. That's right. A small section of my office hours live stream that I do on usually Mondays. Twitch.tv/theastropub, youtube.com/theastropub live at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Would love to have you come join us live and hang out and talk and chat. Today we talked a little bit about the Origin sale. We also went into a little bit of CIG's financials. Had some discussion about that. I found out about Phantom Brigade both being out and in a 2.0 version, which is nice. So come hang out and talk a little bit about Star Citizen lore, news, and more. With that being said, this is sort of a follow-up to one I've done like 3 or 4 videos ago, where we did a roadmap roundup discussing specifically the updates to 4.7 that did not have crafting nor inventory as part of its release. Well, that's changed. All right, so this is from Roadmap Roundup on the 25th of February, 2026. I am recording this on a Thursday. Usually we do on Monday, but I was out on Monday, so we'll just make it up for today. Notable changes for February 25th, 2026. Release View 4.7. Crafting Tier 0. Implementing the first iteration of crafting, introducing earnable blueprints, material quality, and the ability to improve existing item stats through the crafting process. This initial release focuses primarily on crafting weapons and armor, FPS weapons and armor. Inventory rework. Reworking the visuals and improving the overall user experience of the personal inventory UI introduced in 3.15. This update includes new functionality such as proximity looting, stack all, and more. So, both of these have been set to tentative, and as I said, I didn't think it was going to make it. And I'm wrong, which is good. I would like to be wrong about this. But I've also experienced both of these because I've actually played with the inventory rework and crafting Tier 0. And I can tell you right now, it's likely not what you're hoping for or wanting. Crafting Tier 0 is very, very cut down. It, like I said, it's mostly focusing on weapons and armor for FPS. And you still have to earn blueprints. The blueprint system's a little funky. It's more random than it is directed. So it's harder to get like specific blueprints. And on top of that, most of this is sort of just an update to quality for mining. People have joked that this is the mining update. It's kind of right. And to add to that, the inventory rework is great, but it is a evolution, not a revolution. So all of the problems you have in the back end are still going to be present with this inventory rework. When the servers start to chug and the backend servers start to chug, the inventory will likely have the same problems. However, it is less clunky now. It's much more streamlined and easier to work. It's much more, plus things like the loot proximity area, stack all that sort of thing is so much better than the current iteration, to the point where it's hard to play the current iteration simply because of how good the new inventory rework is. But again, it's not something I would say is going to solve all of your problems. And it's likely going to have the same problems that we have currently when it comes to just technicality, because it's mostly a UI overhaul rather than a complete overhaul of the back-end stuff. And the testing servers we were on were mostly focused, were like pretty snappy, but you're probably not even filling up an entire shard with the number of people who are testing. And on top of that, even though we still had that problem, we had server errors all the time. Like all the time. Even in low population, server errors were constantly happening. So keep that in mind when I'm saying this, is that it is likely to come in 4.7. And I do believe that the versions we've just tested of EVA Copy members is going to be what you see. But it is not going to be the revolutionary change that a lot of people want. I did not check out the Drake ship. I always forget the Clipper, I think. The Drake ship that has the crafting built into it. I didn't check that out, so that might be there. It might be functional. I'd be surprised if it wasn't functional in the first release, because it's about the same what you would have with the normal. And the system is a little funky. It still takes a little bit of wiggling to get used to, because it's not very intuitive. I will say the crafting system definitely needs some work in the long term. It's fine for the first release though. So chat's saying it didn't work for the testing, but I wouldn't be surprised if it doesn't if it doesn't work in the first tier 0 implementation when this happens in March. So there we have it. Crafting and inventory coming in March. However, it's a little bit more cut down. It's not going to solve all your problems. It's not a magic bullet, but it is advancement. And this is more advancement than we had, I think, than probably all of last year in terms of new features. We really didn't get many features last year other than server meshing. So this is a huge deal in terms of progression. And if as long as they iterate on this as they go forward, we're probably going to get more. But that is really up in the air. And I want to hear your thoughts, as always, down below on anything we just talked about, especially do you think crafting tier 0 is good enough? Do you think we'll actually see it evolve to a more of a 1.0 status towards the end of the year? Or do you think CIG is just dumping the feature out because it's done and letting it die like they've done so many other updates? If you're a miner, are you looking forward to, or are you dreading the changes? Because this is definitely going to change how you mine in terms of the value, because a lot of this value stuff, it's going to affect your sale price and what you can actually create in terms of how much good quality ore you get out. And as always, if you did enjoy this, make sure you hit that follow button, subscribe for more content, and hit the bell icon to be notified when these release. Thank you for watching, and like I always say, hope to see you someday in the black. How many tier 0s does this make? All of them? That's a good question. There was a large list of items you could craft, but you needed to have the prerequisites before you could even, the prerequisite materials before you could craft them. The Carrack didn't really have I didn't have a built-in functional crafting device, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Clippers device would work in 4.7. It just didn't work in the test. Now, so scanning is likely not coming in until May. May is when their current iteration of scanning is set to complete in terms of the progress tracker, but progress tracker is not the same as release. It's just the current sprint. Did painting armor make it into tier 0? No. Basically, you have different tiers of equipment, but the basic tier stuff you can do is FPS armor and FPS weapons. And if you want to get the other blueprints, you have to go do missions to achieve those blueprints. Yes, that is also true. They have less ore per rock, so you're not going to get nearly the same kind of payouts as you did, as you do in 4.6. It is just FPS and armor. Is Tech Preview becoming a longer Evocati PTU? To a degree. This is the smoothest Tech Preview I've ever fucking played. Even with the, like, every 5 minutes a server error would occur. I think it would be a good Evocati, but the thing was it was just testing those two features, the crafting and the inventory rework. So... The only major issue this round of ETF was the inventory. Servers lagged them out. Yeah. There was definitely some server lag. That's what I was saying, was like the back-end services are still going to be a problem. The ore per rock is a known issue and will be adjusted, if I recall correctly. A lot of the things that they were doing in this tech preview were more balance issues. Like, they changed the buff that would happen significantly for higher tiers, like higher quality. Like, you get the higher quality, it wouldn't just be like... In the first test, it was insane. Like, 12% faster firing rate. Fucking fuck you levels of, like, oh yeah, you've got a P4 you're firing at full auto. Congratulations, you're now firing at full auto a good, significant amount. But they in this update they reduced that, so it's not nearly as egregious as was before. It was mostly for testing purposes. But again, it's all a matter of balance at that point. Balancing out how these things work and how the advantages are supposed to work. I don't think CIG will sell the higher tier items. I think that would defeat the purpose of crafting. I think you're high on hopium, Dell. They're gonna fucking ship this baby out because the patch must push, and they're definitely gonna want to push this out. They'll push it out unbalanced and broken. Can't wait to run tier 1 missions for tier 2 blueprints, and then 2 tier 3 missions for tier 3 blueprints with HP sponge enemies. Truly a different experience of an MMO. I don't know what you're talking about with HP sponge enemies. I don't know. I could be wrong on this one. I hope I'm not, but I don't see CIG selling higher tiers with cash. That sort of defeats the purpose of an entire gameplay loop. Like, while they're disappointing on reputation right now, they didn't abandon reputation. They are going to be adding, like, a new reputation system to the game soon. Soon TM. So, not CIG soon, and not soon, but soon TM. So in the distant future. For those of you who don't know the soons, it's soon is like next patch or within the next 3 months. Soon, CIG soon is within the next 6 months to a year. And soon TM is like, don't fucking even think about it. Do you know about when they're putting out 4.7? March. It's coming out in March. but my guess would be end of March. So we're looking at, my guess would be, latest would be the 26th of March. I could see them doing it on the 24th or 25th, but the 26th of March is probably where they would go. And the fact that we're already in the 26th, we're already in the 26th of February, so we're coming to the end of February as we speak. We're probably going to end up in the PTU, Avocado PTU next week. Because it's usually a week or two in PTU, and then to release, so. I'm not arguing what they'll do, but tiers aren't needed for anything other than grind, which provides a lever to push people into store. You can't have crafting and customization without tiers. I don't know how would crafting being locked behind gameplay push people to the store? Everything you purchase in Star Citizen in the store is going to be the basic bottom tier. So buying something in the store will be just give you access to the ship, like you would go to a NPC location and buy the ship as well. Those still giving you the basic version. If you wanted the higher tiers, then you'd have to craft them yourselves. But grind used to mean gameplay in an MMO. It's still going to be gameplay. Which soon is Squadron? CIG soon. 6 months to a year. Yeah, and the higher the tiers will come with research, which requires completing missions, doing specific things, building a certain number of stuff. So, yeah, there'll be some grind to it. You're not going to be completing Star Citizen in like record times or anything like that. How? I could see them selling blueprints, maps, etc. They could, but I don't see them doing that only because that's their solution to engagement. Like crafting is clearly created as a means to engage people to play the game for longer. Like it's very much a Richard Tyre stepping in and saying, we need this. I think you got the right idea, but the wrong mechanic. It's insurance where they'll sell pay to win. Death of a spaceman, keep your stuff respawn instantly. Now with special pledge tokens. I don't see that either. It is a revenue opportunity, but the question is CIG doing this as a means to make more money, or are they doing it as a means to make you play the game? That's the question. Are all of the gameplay mechanics specifically existing as gameplay as a revenue opportunities, or is there a sacred cow that CIG won't slaughter? To the pessimist, to the people or people who would call themselves realists, would say, yeah, no, the game, this is nothing but a revenue generator. This is simply a Skinner box for CIG to keep getting paid. But, and to the optimist, to the white knight, CIG would never do such a thing. I think it depends personally on what CIG's situation is, but I don't think CIG's mentality is coming in with, I want to make as much money as humanly possible. A cynic, yeah. I don't think CIG would do it with this current leadership. I think that the crafting and base building solutions is their solution to end game stuff. Because, again, CIG is run by, to my lament sometimes, game developers, gamers, capital G gamers. But see, I think you have to also understand what was CIG's mentality with flight blades. Was CIG selling flight blades specifically as a pay-to-win mechanic? Because every analysis that I saw of the flight blades was that it might give you a little bit of a boost, but it generally wasn't something that was enough to dramatically improve your performance, which was actually to the detriment to a lot of people who were doing the reviews for it. They thought it was a waste of money. I think that what CIG was doing, which is what they typically do, is they seek revenue opportunities, and they saw this as a way of making revenue without thinking. You know, hey, this is going to come out into the game eventually anyways, just like ships. Let's put it behind a paywall, and then 6 months later, we'll release it to everybody else. So we can gain a little money off it. And they bundled it with ship skins. And so many people who purchased it weren't purchasing the blades, they're purchasing the skins for their ships because they like the skins. I think what CIG learned from that was bundle shit with other shit, because people will buy more expensive things to get the skin for the ship they want. Which is clearly true, because that's how patch bundles were created. Yeah, we'll find out soon. I don't disagree that CIG is doing test balloons to see what they can get away with. Again, the corporation does not understand the difference between consumers and profit, and will consume both. CIG can and will exploit the shit out of people if they can get money out of it, because their sole job is self-preservation. But to the same degree, if CIG wanted to maximize and leverage profit, they would have done so many years ago. Selling bangles and other things like that. Just selling shit so it can make fuck tons of money. And they've showed some restraint there. To the point where even teasing you could build a bangle rather than just sell one. So it's a matter of which perspective do you put it as? That all companies will always end up becoming evil and trying to eat you? Comrade? Or are you of the opinion that, you know, companies are not inherently evil or inherently good? Or are you thinking that they're inherently good? Like, it really depends on what you view companies as. And I think the average gamer, capital G gamer, has been burned by companies so much that they see patterns in CIG and immediately go, this pattern is like this pattern, so they're the same thing. Without the context. I personally believe, based off the context of what I've seen, I don't think they would do it. I'm not saying they wouldn't, but it really depends on who's in charge. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of shit that marketing gets away with is because nobody in marketing has to talk to Chris. That's just a theory. Not a fact or anything. Because if you have a large enough company, you can decide to do things and nobody pays attention to it. I doubt that Chris is intimately involved in, like, marketing discussions about, like, what's going on. All that he cares about is that the lights are on. Years ago, it was a JPEG viewer. Now they have half a game and are pushing a lot of boundaries I'm uncomfortable with. I mean, to CIG's credit, most of the JPEG viewer stuff is gone. CIG is rapidly removing their backlog of internet spaceship.jpg. My point is to not say don't be cautious of CIG. I think there's a difference between being cautious of CIG and just assuming the worst immediately. Because assuming the worst isn't going to help you if you want to follow the game. If you assume the worst and you're like, CIG is a scam company, then, like, don't follow the game. That's just going to make you mad, even more mad. Because every time they do make a decision, you will see monsters and shadows. The monsters in the shadows. Rather than, you know, whatever may be the intent. And who knows? Maybe you're right. Maybe you are the madman in the wilderness spreading the true word of what's going to happen, that the end is nigh. And then, you know, if you walk away, then you were right. And no skin off your back. Sandy is more marketing. Sandy is, but Sandy isn't the only marketing. No, they're not going to have passenger ship gameplay before 1.0. They said that they won't have that ready yet. That wasn't my point. You said, oh, well, they haven't done pay to win for years. I'm just saying yet. I don't think they're really done pay to win. I'm not getting into the pay to win discussion because the pay to win discussion is fruitless. It's talking in circles. It's might as well be religion at this point. Because everyone's perspective is different and arguing about it is just going to piss people off. I'm the Cassandra of Star Citizen. Cursed by Apollo! He did seem very grateful to be in the position he's in from what I saw from the panel of, in Australia. The way I've always viewed CIG is unbelievably lucky idiots. And I mean that affectionately. It's a bunch of nerds, starting with Chris Roberts, who had an idea, and they started building a company, and other nerds kept giving them money, and they were like, holy fuck, where are we getting this money? And eventually they were just like, I don't fucking know what I'm doing. I'm just a video game producer. Like, I have money? Okay. And they had some people who were good with money, like Ortman Freimuth, who's a fantastic dude. I met him in person. He's a great guy. Very, 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 like, he's very inquisitive. And he's also very, very nice. I met him in person. We actually sat down and talked during one of the Citizen Cons where I explained, like, what streaming was, because he was encouraged by that. Fun fact, he wrote before CIG. He helped found CIG. One of the reasons why he helped found CIG was because he thought that the same methodology used for independent filmmaking, because that's what the world he was in, could be used to produce indie games. And he's sort of right. Star Citizen was sort of a test, was a proof of concept, but it went beyond that because of what they're able to do. But his concept was that a lot of indie filmmakers take lots of, like, little bits of money from a fuck ton of different producers to produce a film with some tax credits from various locations. And that's kind of how indie games are made today. Here's a current list of people with ownership and stake in CIG after stripping away the holding companies. Chris Roberts, 71%. The Calders, 21%. Keith Calder, 20%. Clive Calder, 6%. Aaron Roberts, 4%. Eli Klein, 2.4%. Klein was the one that Chris Roberts knew beforehand. Mark Dudant, isn't he one of the, like, is he one of the Turbulent Boys? And Benoit, 2%. Can't attest the accuracy of this. Okay. The documentary of this development with this game will be epic in 20 to 30 years. They will also write textbooks on about bad project management. From my study of not just Star Citizen, but my looking at other video games, what I've come to realize is that all video games are fucking awfully managed. Video games in general, just have fucking disgustingly bad management. Their project management is ass. Which is one of the reasons why video games are so fucking expensive to make, because they don't know how to fucking, keep shit on track. Yeah, the documentary was part of the Kickstarter goals, I think, yeah. I mean, for a private company, isn't that crazy? But from a layman's perspective, I always assumed the Calders had more. No. Chris would always had majority control. The Calders only had less than that. They bought up Ortman's share, which is why it grew. Yeah, the CIG is just more public about their bad management. Oh yeah, one of the things that I did when I did the complete history of Titanfall for that lore video is I researched the background story, we had interviews with developers and shit. Titanfall was a joke. Titanfall 1 is a fucking miracle it even existed. They almost punched each other. There was a fist fight in the studio at one point. Like a near fist fight in the studio. Over arguments, over situations. The game was originally just, you piloted a mech to fight dragons and repair a spaceship. That was the original game. They originally had a full single-player campaign that they wanted to do, but EA basically said, you better publish fucking something. We've been paying your ass for too much. So they released without a single-player campaign. You know where the dragon guy went? Yeah. Let's go. Honestly, I've been in a few office fistfights, more on site though. Some people don't understand what no smoking in big red letters and natural gas tank means. Yeah. But I mean, in this case, this is less of a, we're going to fight and there's going to be safety issues. This was artistic differences leading to a fist fight. Yeah. One of the things, I remember reading a book on video game writing. And one of the things that the writer mentioned in that book was kill your babies. Learn to kill your children, but also learn to fight for what you need to fight for. Which basically means sometimes your cool idea has to get cut. And you're going to have to be okay with your cool idea being cut, even if it tied the whole story together. But sometimes that shit ties the whole story together. Don't you cut that fucking cutscene. We fucking need it. I don't give a shit if it's we're behind on shit. Put more resources towards it. This is vital to the fucking storyline. Yeah, kill your darlings. Ironically, TWO, the person you get to blame is Jeffrey Epstein, apparently. Thank you, fucking asshole. Dick. Did you not hear that? He was the one who suggested it to the evil devil incarnate. Yeah, Kodak. We could read it in the fucking email that he sent to Kodak. Yeah, you should do cosmetic and games and tiny stuff. Fucking Bobby. It's not surprising that he knew Bobby. Like, Jesus fucking Christ. That man is the devil, and knowing that he actually knew the real devil is not important. It's not too far. It's the truth. The gift of gifts keeps on giving. The gift of pain. I really honestly wouldn't be surprised if, like, we find out later down the line that motherfucker was responsible for 9/11. That motherfucker killed your dog. I don't care. Your dog ended up dead. It was Jeffrey Epstein's fault, apparently, according to these fucking files. I don't want to get into that shit. That shit is terrifying and depressing and enraging. But it's one of those things that when I heard that connection, I was like, that makes a lot of sense, but also, what the fuck? Maelstrom will be sick if they can pull it off. They apparently pull it off in Squadron. So it's just a matter of, can they take that same thing for a single-player game campaign and turn it into a multiplayer thing? I think that's going to be a little tougher. Oh, yeah. There's a lot of that. Man, I hope, TWO. I hope. Probably responsible for 6-7 too. Probably. Motherfucker's been dead for like, what, 6 years, 7 years now? He probably somehow created it. It was working in the Squadron Free demo in the turret section. No? Yeah, it was. As far as I can tell, and again, talking with the folks that I've talked to who work on Squadron, yeah, it's working. It's working in game. It's there. They built it. It's not just in the demo. Like, it's working. It's just not been imported into Star Citizen. It's funny because a lot of the folks I talked to at Squadron, they asked me how Star Citizen was going. I'm like, you fucking work for the company. What do you mean, how is Star Citizen going? And they're like, I just don't play it because I'm working all the time and I haven't a chance to talk to my colleagues who work on Star Citizen. It's like, I'm your information for the company game you're working on? Like, a lot of times they find out shit from content creators. Well, like, all of the ones I've talked to were fans of Star Citizen before they worked for Star Citizen. So that's kind of thing. Dear God, I thought I was better at communication. It's just more like, I go to work every day to go teach. I don't think about all the things that my school does after the fact. I don't always know everything, even though I probably should. And all right, let me get in my soapbox a little bit before we finish this up. I don't believe that devs should be forced to play their games, but I do believe that devs should force to enjoy their games. There's a fundamental thing where if you don't like the thing you're making, why the fuck are you making it? And apparently that's a common thing where people will make something artistic or technologically wise that they don't like, and they're like, oh, whatever, I made it. It's like, what the fuck do you mean don't like it? Just make it because so you like it. Like, what are you doing? And you can tell the difference between a dev who enjoys their own game and a dev who doesn't. Depends on the dev. Sound guys don't need to play the game. The fucking mission designer, yeah. I disagree. I think sound designers should enjoy their game. I think the mission designers, I think the level designers, I think the lighting people, I think the engine people, they should all enjoy the game they're making. They should like the game they're making. Even if it's not a good game or a great game, it should be a good game to that team. In gaming, it's more common because it's less of a passion, more of a paycheck now. It can be, yeah. Try that once. McDonald's didn't like me making bacon hamburger patties. But in this case, Wildly Coyote, this would be like if McDonald's, if the CEOs of McDonald's, or the people, like the restaurant cooks, the people who actually make the menu at McDonald's, never ate their own meals. They're just like, this is good enough. Yeah, like the McDonald's corporate chef, the people who actually make the menus and make the, like cook everything and tell people how to cook. It's like if they never fucking ate their own food. Ever. This Bender level shit right there. CIG developers don't play their own game, that's pretty obvious. Some do, but I don't think enough of the higher level people do enough. To be fair, I also think that in general, it's hard to play the game when it constantly is breaking. Like, I've had this conversation with Loken. I've also had this conversation in the lore team as well, which is you have to often force yourself to play Star Citizen if they're because of how many times the game breaks. Now, there's some things, like I enjoy doing the cargo missions, and I'm sure people who do salvage and like mining, that's sort of like a casual chill thing. But to like play and like really play like progression and to like plan things out, it's hard to do that because like all of the locations that would be good for planning out and actually executing, like contested zones, like Hathor, like Stormbreaker, all of those places break like all the time. So it's really hard to go, yeah, let's go do Stormbreaker only to, spend the time and energy to travel to Stormbreaker only to find it doesn't work. That's really depressing. And it's like, okay, well, I can't rely on Stormbreaker, so I can't plan to play on Stormbreaker because it just doesn't work. That's why most big events are player-made things. Yeah, but even then, those things are harder to accomplish. So, like, to a degree, I'm a little more flexible on telling a CIG dev, "Hey, why don't you play your own game?" when I know that their game is broken in the places that I would want them to play so they could fix it. Like, hey, you should improve executive hangars. Cool, if they work. Like, so why would you play your own game if you know it doesn't work? Yeah, and the problem about having to make our own gameplay is that we don't really have the sandbox tools to improve that gameplay. It's one of the reasons why I'm really looking forward to crafting and the new inventory system. I'm looking forward to base building to a lesser degree, but I'm also looking forward to... What was that? Guys, it was in my head and then it just disappeared. Oh, social tools. Because all of those things can help improve the sandbox experience. Damn, our miners are jumping at the bit for crafting to come for our crafters. I do think that once they make like base building after crafting, I think that is effectively all of the pillars they need for sandbox to make the sandbox function. At that point, it's just managing figures. They need refining. Yeah, that's true. But I think refining comes with crafting and what was it called? Crafting and base building. You don't really need refining because you can do refining right now, but it's clear that they have an idea of what refining is. When Thorsten was talking about it, he was talking like they already have started that process. I'm really hoping we get crafting blueprint drops, monthly post crafting. But that's copium. I could see it happening if it doesn't break on the instantly. It worked for me, but I only did like 2 or 3 things to craft. So now we just need CIG to keep past sandbox things like Hathor and Stormbreaker working most of the time. I think once they get the sandbox stuff out, the pressure is off them because now there are more things for players to do outside of the handcrafted or even like semi-crafted locations they have. So they can focus on that down the line. One would hope they'd have a library of blueprints, but who knows? I imagine, again, it's just an item spawn. It's a box with lights that deletes one item, and then it spawns in another item. That's all it is. I think it's a matter of the size of those crafters, because like there's no point in putting them all in at once. Just to test it out. With Rockcracker coming, the old ones will just be forgotten. We'll see. I think it's a matter of, do they have a team working on those things? And right now, the answer is no. Because it's not just Rockcracker. It's Rockcracker. It's Fleet Ops, Tactical Fleet Ops. It's the Depths. Or the works. It's what is it? The municipal works. It's Siege of Orison. Like, those are all things that the same teams should be working on. Did you test manually loading the crafter? Yes, I did. It didn't work all the time. Like, I manually loaded things in, and it was like, it's there. And sometimes it was just like, what the fuck are you talking about? It's not here. So maybe I just didn't know exactly where it was pulling stuff from, but... Abrupt subject change. When are we going to Origin C8 competitor? The 85X doesn't belong as the 890 jump tender. It does. You have the Galaxy coming out for CitCon, and it's supposed to have a refining module. Yeah, and I have a feeling that refining will be there by CitizenCon. At least that's their plan. You look like recently they were hinting at the works for Levski. I mean, that's the whole story. The current story of the Alliance Aid stuff is effectively why we need to go to the depths, to the municipal works, and help them out. Like, that's clearly the setup. This new origin ship sounds interesting. Was this all discussed in the Star Citizen Live? If you loaded too much material, how did you give back? How did it give you back the access? I didn't usually load too much materials, so I didn't have any access. I tried to keep things as even as possible. No, that's not true. There was one time I had an excess, but it just disappeared. Again, I didn't know exactly where things were supposed to go, because there was options of like pull from internal, pull from external, I think, and then like another option. There are 3 options of like where it should be coming from. It's not all perfectly logical, and I only had about a couple of hours to test it compared to what I would have done. System survey when? I actually do plan on doing a system survey Stanton soon. Probably not until the summer, though. Oh, Stanton's in the game. The next one will be Nyx, though. Well, that's fully in. All event locations somehow worked. Functionality was tested. Let's move on. This is their philosophy for me. They could fix it at any time, but but why delay from other work locations and current story? They need to have a team whose job is to just to continue to test and update and fix older sites as they continue forward. But they don't have that team because they don't have the manpower to do that team. Maybe when Squadron is released, they can pull some people from Squadron to do that. But like, it's just a matter of you need to build a team whose job it is to do that, train them to do that, and have them work over the course of probably 9 months to learn how the system works, all the details and stuff like that. Ooh. I have a theory that the whole crisis UE plot to get favored debt from the Levski folks, Planet Alliance, to give them a reason to move into the system with terraforming tendency of Nyx 1. My theory is the same theory that it always has, and I've realized over the years that my brain growing up in conspiracy theories when I was younger has poisoned me in a way that is awesome. I feel like I can stare into 2 worlds. I can stare into the logical and reasonable answers, and I can be like, yes, but what if we get a little fucking crazy and start thinking of weird shit? So my brain immediately goes to not to, oh yeah, the UE is doing something, but to the Division of Executive Services. Division is doing this. Because it would set up so that the UEE could have a claim over Levski and weaken Levski enough so that they can get so the UEE could have access to it. They wouldn't do it themselves, obviously. They do it with one of their watchers, some third party, effectively spy who would slip in and do the deed and then disappear. Hey, Depose, how you doing? Through a cutout, a cat's paw. It's freedom fighters all over again. You mean frontier fighters? They're bad about the display of their leader's corpse on Levski. My theory is still that hey, you know the poets. Yeah, I said that earlier, yeah. Is that the frontier fighters was a division op. It was the division paid for the frontier fighters to exist, and then they went rogue and they just said, fuck it, and burned them. But see, I also recognize when I'm blaming everything on the Shadow Cabal government in fiction, because I'm like, oh, nope, I'm falling into that trap. I'm falling into the trap that anything that cannot be explained is division. You know? Anything that's got a mystery, I can just slot in the fucking CIA and it works. Cliche upon cliche. That's how my brain works, man. That's how my brain works. I know it's probably not how it actually happens, but I'm going to claim that everything that I can't explain is a fucking secret intelligence plot to fuck me over. Nice! Enjoy the Toronto Bar Citizen. Probably do some PC hardware giveaways. Nice. I mean, to be fair, Knowledge, in the lore, the Division of Executive Services is a rogue element. They are technically under the control of the High Secretary, the head of Congress. But they kind of are their own thing. The secret that makes the Division so scary is that the Division is like 10 people. It's not a very big department, but they're given a lot of leeway and a lot of money. And then they can take that money and they can hire a bunch of people whom they call watchers. And those watchers can then go off and do things for them. So effectively, deniable assets that they can pay. I'm going to do a whole thing on the Division of Executive Services and their history and some likely occurrences of the Division of Executive Services acting in game based off the lore, so. I'm not going to talk about that, Del. I know what you're talking about. But that also is completely within the CIA's wheelhouse and how stupid that is. It's always Hurstons. I mean, I also blame the Hurstons too. But the one thing I love about the Hurstons is that they're so predictable because they're so fucking bad at being subtle. A subtle Hurston doesn't exist. Change my mind. Hurstons are as subtle as a brick to the forehead. They do not understand the word, nor do they care to understand the word. They only care about money and power. And when you go, what are you doing this for? And it's money and power. And when you go, well, that's bad, they look at you like you grew a fucking tentacle out of your forehead. Like, what the fuck you mean that's bad? That's all that life is about. Fucking weirdo. Subtle Hurston it doesn't exist because they haven't been found out yet. No, if there's a subtle Hurston that's not been found out, they're a fucking narc. They work for somebody else. Just marry a Hurston, Del. It's the easiest way. They have free healthcare. They do. Oh, God. It's the most dark fucking thing. One of the most dark fucking things about this game, this game's universe, is you can sign up and you'll get free healthcare, unlike everybody else in the verse, if you sign up for Hurston. It just also means that you have to sign a contract where when you die, you are not actually lifted from the lifetime contract. Death does not prevent you from being a slave. Because the free healthcare is also the means of bringing you back to life so that you can never stop working for the Hurstons. It is the ultimate monkey's paw when it comes to health. What would we talk about with podcast knowledge? I'd be down to do a conspiracy theory podcast. But there's so many conspiracy theory podcasts. It ended up being you talking about conspiracy theories and me being like, that's probably wrong. And then you tell me how I'm wrong. It'd be a good dynamic. Damn it, you have to ruin immortality for me? I have to work? If we start with things like JFK, like, it'll be an interesting conversation because I have opinions about things like RFK, JFK, MLK. Duncan, Idaho version 5. Why does that sound familiar? Oh, from Dune. Yeah. Hearst employee healthcare serves to keep labor costs down, like hiring new replacement staff, and not benefit employees. Yeah, but it was also, they had to be dragged there by Maria. Maria basically forced them to do it because what they would do instead was if an employee was too injured to continue, it was just cheaper to off-book them than it was to take care of their health costs. Effectively, once they became a burden, a liability, where like they need to get replacement limbs or something, then it's just like, no, not paying for that. And Maria was just like, no, we're paying for that, dumbass. Part of it is because Maria actually believed in it, also because it's like, because then we don't have to train new people, dumbass. What's more expensive, having a huge turnover rate or paying for a fucking arm? And now with regen, it's like, we don't have to pay for an arm. We just have to put a bullet through their head and they'll come back. No, you're good. You're good. That guy's worked for Ataris for 600 lifetimes. Yeah. To be fair, does anyone know about the light bulb conspiracy? I love the light bulb conspiracy because it's partially true. That's my thing about conspiracy theories, is that conspiracy theories aren't wrong. They just often take a leap of logic at the wrong moment. Like, it's people seeing patterns that exist and are rightfully understanding those patterns exist, but then they just take a leap of logic at the wrong moment and they jump over the answer. And sometimes the answer is more terrifying than the fucking conspiracy theory. And I think CIG does that really well with the Plain Truth. Because the Plain Truth, that whole like show and how it does, it's effectively like, yeah, no, dude, this dude's entirely right. He used to be a investigative journalist, so he knows what he's looking at. It's just, he goes from being, hey, the UE developed a super weapon that can destroy a planet, to being, you know, this super weapon is designed to, like, kill your children. It's like, no, this is designed to kill fucking Vandal ships, you dumbass. What the fuck do they kill your children for? Imagine the movie Mickey 17. I still say that Mickey 17 is the closest I've ever seen to Star Citizen's version of Regen. Because I believe every Mickey had their memory downloaded at some point. So there's like maybe gaps in the memory for the Mickeys, but they're but they still remember a lot of stuff. So I won't be doing a pub and place tomorrow. I do have to reach out and tell Logan about that. Because Space Tomato asked me to come onto his podcast to talk about the latest updates to crafting and to inventory UI. To kind of give my experience of playing MMOs and stuff like that. It's not... It's similar to MMOs, but again, it's for me, it always screams more like... it's much more similar to like survival crafting games. All right, it's almost midnight here, y'all. I'm going to call it a night. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you for watching. And like I say every time, hope to see you someday in the black. I'll see you on Saturday for the captain's table.